Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rekha HaKodash. Welcome to another lesson. The name of this lesson is Fleshy For Stony. And the reason why Spirit had me call it that pretty much is scriptural. We're going to change these stony hearts that we have for the fleshly hearts. Because the fleshly hearts that are coming, that's the promise that the Lord made, a part of his second covenant, that he would put the laws into our inward parts. The first, our first state or state on earth was that stony heart. That's the reason why when the Lord gave Moses the laws, he had them etched in stone, because that pretty much, that stone represented our minds, and I first heard Apostle Gabar go into that, and it made sense, that's those stony tablets represented our hearts at this time. And we're going to change those stony hearts into the fleshly hearts, which is going to be the carnal being put off to put on the spiritual. The stony being the carnal and the fleshly being the spiritual. So I'm going to start off here in Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha 16. It says, every man from his youth is given to evil. Neither could they make to themselves fleshy hearts for stony. So we all were born, under the curse and under the iniquities and sins of Adam. As it tells you in the book of Romans, the 5th chapter. We were pretty much born into iniquity, pretty much, like King David said, he said that in one of his Psalms, and sin that my mother conceived me, going back to Adam, to Adam going off and us going off also, and also this flesh is wicked also. It's filthy. That's why this corruptible body has to put on incorruption, which will be those spiritual bodies that are made to be able to live on the earth. All right. This is so from there I'm just gonna jump to Jeremiah chapter 31, because this is part of the second covenant. The first covenant, which was made with the nation of Israel, was that the Lord would give us a law, statutes, and commandments, and the condition was that we keep his law, statutes, and commandments. Otherwise, there would have to be an animal sacrifice of blood for the remission of going off and breaking his sins. And the Lord got tired of that, because you had wicked Israelites that were running it to the ground. You even had priests and elders and men that were in high positions that were pretty much using that office, to gain money, to gain wealth, and not to really help the people stop going off. But there's a bigger purpose and a higher and spiritual purpose for everything that has played out here on the earth. But now we're coming to the point where the Lord is bringing us back into the tree of life, and that tree of life is the knowledge that's going to be put into our inward parts, which was promised to the nation of Israel, both kingdoms. So this is Jeremiah 31:31. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Why is he going to make a new covenant? Because the old covenant, we broke it. When you read throughout the first 5 books of the law, which they say is the book of Moses, the laws of Moses, but really it was the laws of the Most High given to Moses to give to the nation of Israel. Apostle Tahar brought that out and made that observation, and it's true. Certain terminologies that we use today, Esau uses that terminology. So we go back to what the scriptures say. It was a law that was given, the Most High's law, Yahweh's law, that was given to Moses, the mediator, to give to the nation of Israel, the Most High's inheritance. All right. So the Lord says he's going to make a new covenant or a new agreement or a new testimony, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, saith the Lord. Why? Because these bodies that we're in are subject to go off. They're subject to sin. Matter of fact, before I read on, I'll go to the book of Romans 8, and this is the higher purpose and the higher calling and the higher reason why we went off, because the Most High had a plan. Romans 8:20. For the creature was made subject to vanity meaning wickedness, to go off. So the creature, which is us, that was created, was made subject, was put under subjection or under the laws of vanity. That's why the Apostle Paul said that I see two members in my laws warring one against the other. Matter of fact, let me get that real quick. This is the book of Romans, chapter 7 and 21. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me. So no matter what, you're always in two minds as far as the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do. For I delight in the law of the Most High after the inward man. So in the spirit, we delight to do that because that's really what we were created for from the beginning. But the Lord had a purpose and a plan for us. That's why we're going through what we're going through right now. So that when we come out on the other side, we'll be totally righteous, right? It says, but I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. Because sin, there's just like righteousness has laws, which are the laws of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, there's laws in sin. There's a formula and a method in the legislature and the law that governs sin, and it's set up in a certain way. That's why the Lord said, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. If you do that, this is what's going to happen. Those are sins, and these are the penalties. And there's a way to do those sins. And that's what the nations were doing. That's what the Lord said, don't do after the manner of these nations, because the same thing that them nations did was what got them kicked out of the land where you're going right now. So don't do after the manner of those nations. It says, O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? Why? Because this body is death. It's wicked, it's filthy, and plus it breaks down. It decomposes. And goes back into the elements. It says, I thank the Most High through Yahushua our Lord. So then with the mind I myself serve the law of the Most High, but with the flesh the law of sin, because there is a law of sin. But in our spirit, that's why the Lord said, blessed is the man upon whom the Lord imputeth not iniquity, and in whose spirit is no guile. Because if in your spirit is no guile, the flesh, is going to go off regardless. But the Lord has men that go off sinning wise, but in their spirit they're pure. But that doesn't give you a license to go out there and do whatever the hell you want to do, because you say, well, if my spirit is pure, then so be it. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna eat this ham sandwich, then I'm gonna go lay down with Shaquita. I know she got 3 men, but I'm gonna go lay down with her anyway. Nah, man, you coming in the wrong spirit. If you're coming in that spirit. All right, so now going back to Romans 8:20, for the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, because it's not something that we wanted to do. Because if you look at it spiritually, we really want to do the right thing. We always want to do the right thing. We always want to be in the good graces of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, to be able to walk in their sight, unblemished. But the thing is that we're in this flesh, and as long as we're in this flesh, we're not going to be able to do that. That's why Yahweh Shai had to come on the scene to redeem us, from this death, so to speak. And that was only given to the nation of Israel. These wacky Christians, they're really, really starting to see now that these promises and these laws, these statutes, these commandments, this gift, the Bible itself is only given to the nation of Israel. But they're just in denial. They don't want to accept it, but they're gonna accept it, because they're gonna fight and claw on, because what else do they have? Just like in the movie Gladiator, when one of Maximus' top men say, why don't the people know when they're bested or when they're beaten? He said, these people fight for their lands. He said, would I? So in other words, they're not gonna give up easily, because what good is what's coming for them? They got no hope. So they're going to claw and fight for whatever they can in that false Christianity, that false plantation Christianity, because that's all they got, And the ones among them that are Israelites are going to be pulled out from that and be brought to their right mind. And the ones that are Edomites, they're going to be put to death. You know, and the other nations, they're going to be put to death, bottom line. Okay, so it says, but for the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who have subjected the same in hope. So this is what we have. Our hope is that the Lord is going to come back soon and deliver us, put his laws into our inward parts, change our bodies, make us righteous again, so that we can govern over these nations and put these nations in subjection and put them back and put the world back the way it's supposed to be, the way it was created from the beginning and the way it was intended to be. All right, so now let's go from there back to Jeremiah 31 and 32. It says, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand. Let me just jump to 33. But this shall be the covenant or the agreement that I will make with the house of Israel after those days. So now notice he says the house of Israel here. Why? Because here, this is both houses put together. Here he said Israel and Judah. But then when we come back together, we're Israelites. But the northern kingdom was called the kingdom of Israel or the kingdom of Ephraim. And the southern kingdom was called the kingdom of Judah. But collectively together, we're all known as Israelites. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days. After what days? After these days here where we're at, you know, this last captivity. Salakia. After these days here, after this last captivity, saith the Lord, I will put my laws in their inward parts and write it in their hearts. Why? Because right now it's not written in our hearts. That's why we go off. That's why sometimes you try to quote a scripture, you can't really fully remember it because it's not really fully in our heart, even though it's in our spirit, and we teach it, and, you know, we go over it and we remember. Sometimes your mind is sharp, sometimes it's not. But it all depends on the spirit. But when the Lord puts the laws into our inward parts, we're not going to have to go to the book to read it. You know, you can if you want. You can if you want to, but you're not going to have to do that, because you're going to be able to call it off the top of your dome, like in the movie The Book of Eli. At the end, when Denzel, they shaved them all down, and he put on that white robe and laid down. And what did he do? He started quoting from the beginning, from the book of Genesis. He just quoting the whole thing, because they took the actual book from him, but he already had it in his spirit, so he was able to quote it word for word, the whole book. And that's how we're going to be able to be. That's part of the promises that are promised to us, and that's part of the things that we have to look forward to. You know, it says, and will be the I will put my law in their inward parts and will be their Salakia. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their power, and they shall be my people. Why? Because that's how the Lord inherited us. You know, there was an agreement, a contract, you know, and that contract, we broke the contract. So now we're coming back to the contract. We're making the contract right. We're being reconciled. We're being recompensed. We're being redeemed. Okay? And that's what's happening. But this is only for the nation of Israel. All right? And this is Ezekiel 11 and 16. Therefore say, because what happened was when we went off and broke the law, statutes, and commandments, the Lord scattered us abroad. That's part of the curses that happened to us. Right? Now let's read on. Ezekiel 11:16. Therefore say, thus saith the Lord power, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries. Why? Because the Lord said that was part of the curses. Yet, and that's what made us unclean. Yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. That's where you have little camps here and there popping up all over the world, you know, and mainly here in America, you know, but all over the world, because you have GMS camps popping up all over the place. You have other Israelite group camps popping up all over the place. Why? Because the Lord said he would be a small sanctuary, you know. It says, therefore say, thus saith the Lord power, I will even gather you from the people and assemble you out of the countries where ye have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel. Why? Because that is part of the promise. Part of the promise is that the Lord made to Abraham was that he was going to give us that land. But in giving us the land, there had to be a contract. And that contract was signed in blood. But we messed up the contract. So Yahushua had to come back and do another contract, the second contract, to redeem us with his blood, and signed it with his blood, now we have access and hope once again to get back in the good graces of the Most High, which the Most High had took his peace from us. And Yahweh Shai being the Prince of Peace, he brought peace between Yahweh and Yasha'Allah, which is us, the Most High and us. It says, and they shall come thither, and they shall take away all the detestable things thereof, and all the abominations thereof from hence. So we're going to remove all that stuff. So when we were in the world and the Lord woke us up, whatever we were doing that was contrary to the scriptures, whether you were going to Roman Catholic Church or the Pentecostal Church or worshiping Buddha, whatever, all that was cut off, and you became a new man. We became new men. It says, and I will give them one heart. Why? Because this doctrine and this truth is just one. It's not many. It's just one. It says, and I will give them one heart, and will put a new spirit within you, and I will take the stony heart out of their flesh, and will give them a heart of flesh. Why? Because this, if you want to get technical, this second covenant that was reestablished was really already given to us prior. Just like the Lord said we were going to be a nation of priests, unto him. Not just one, but there had to be a process of time that took place, and the Levites were the priests at the time, but now we're all becoming priests of the Lord Yahweh Bashem El Shai, no matter what tribe we're from. All right? So it says, so let me jump. I'm going to jump from here to Deuteronomy 30 to show you that this promise and this covenant was made with us even prior to reading, even prior to the book of Jeremiah, the 31st chapter. It goes back to the law, Deuteronomy 30. And I just ran across this information today. The Spirit, had me go across it. I'm reading some scriptures, and the Spirit put the ideas and the scriptures in my mind, and I started going through some precepts, and I found all this, and the Spirit said, "Well, do a lesson on it." And here we are, brothers. Deuteronomy 30:1. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse. Why? Because the Lord through the mouth of Moses said that all this stuff was going to come upon us. But wait a minute, I thought the Lord said, keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, and you receive a blessing. So why is it saying that, and it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse? See, why? Because we have to go through both, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations. That's Salaki. Trying to figure out where I was at. Okay, I'll read it again. And it shall come to pass. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether the Lord thy power hath driven thee. And that's what's happening. Now we calling to mind all of these curses that we were going through. Yeah. And we were going. We speak about blessings. During the time of King Solomon, and how the Lord blessed us, and how He blessed us during the time of King David, and different empires and different things that the Lord did for us, and salvations and deliverances. And we speak about the curses too, and that's how that's one of the main things we push out there when we speak, is them curses. And shall return unto the Lord thy power, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy power will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee. And that's why the Lord now is having compassion on us, because it's the time for the great awakening, for us to get back to the kingdom. And will return and gather thee from all the nations, whither the Lord thy power hath scattered thee. And that's what's happening. If any of thine be driven out unto the utmost parts of the heaven, from thence will the Lord thy power gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And how is that being done? Through the word that's being spoken by his prophets. And the Lord thy power will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it. See, and that's what we're waiting to get back to the land. And he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. And that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for these blessings that the Lord promised us. It says, and the Lord thy power will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy power with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. So what's this? This is pretty much the Lord. When the Lord circumcising our heart, meaning he's making our heart, changing our heart so that it can receive, the goodness, the law, statutes, and commandments, and not go off. Because uncircumcised means you don't take heed of the Lord's word. You don't want to know what's right. You just want to do whatever the hell you feel like. But the Lord said that he once he brought us away from all these different nations, he was going to clean us up, and he was going to circumcise our heart and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy power with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. So we won't go off anymore. So these are promises that were made, even going back to the law. But it was reiterated during the time of Jeremiah, and then the Apostle Paul made mention of it in the book of Hebrews. It says, and the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Because we drank of the cup, they got to drink of the cup. We're the apple of the Lord's eye. They're not. And they're the ones that forwarded the affliction. So they got to pay. We paid, now it's their turn to pay. They don't want to pay, that's their fault. That's on them. Take it up with the Most High. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of the Lord, and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. Salaki, brother. All right. And the Lord thy power will make thee plenteous in every work of thine hand, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land, for good. For the Lord thy power will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiced over thee over thy fathers. Salakia. If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which are written in this book of the law, and if thou turn unto the Lord thy power with all thy heart and with all thy soul. And that's what we're doing now, because the Lord has drawn us. The Most High has drawn us, and Yahweh Shai raised us up in the last days. Because the Father, the Most High Yahweh, he drew us to Yahweh Shai, and Yahweh Shai woke us up. All right, so now let's go from there back to Ezekiel 11 and 19. And it says, and I will give them one heart. And that's what's happening now. That's why it's so important to speak the same thing. And these other camps don't get that. These other camps, they wanna just Israel to come together just for the sake of unity, and it doesn't work like that. If you have a different doctrine, we can't deal with you. We all gotta speak the same thing. Just like we can't have guys that call the Most High's name one thing, and then we call the Most High's name by his proper name, Yahweh, but you got other guys that call him Ahaya. You got other guys that might just say Most High, or they might use different names, Jehovah, Yahweh. We can't get together with guys like that, because we got to be in one spirit, in one heart, in one mind. All right? And I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within you. And that's what the Lord is doing. That's why even King David said that. Matter of fact, let me get that real quick. This is our Psalms 51. I'm just going straight to the point. Psalms 51 and 10. It says, I'll start at 9. Hide thy face from my sins and blot out all mine iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O Most High, and renew a right spirit within me. And that's what we want. We want the Lord to renew a right spirit within us. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me, so that we can walk into all pleasing in his sight. So going back to Ezekiel 11:19, and I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within you, and will take the stony heart out of their flesh, and will give them a heart of flesh, that they may walk in my statutes and keep mine ordinances and do them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their power. Why? Because when we break the laws, the Lord puts us away from his sight. He kicks us out the land. He allows the nations to fuck us up. So by him putting the laws into our inward parts, it's guaranteed that we ain't gonna go off no more. Guaranteed. It says, but as for them whose heart walketh after the heart of their detestable things and their abominations, I will recompense their way upon their own heads, saith the Lord power. And that's the reason why we're in the condition that we're in today. You know, because we fell away. We started worshiping idols and doing all kind of bullshit. You know, but now the Lord is redeeming us back. All right, so now let's jump from there to the book of Ezekiel 36 and 8. I'm going to read a few verses here, and then I'm going to jump around in this chapter a little bit. Ezekiel 36 and 8. But ye, O mountains of Israel, it keeps referring to Israel. Where they're saying, it says Israel, whether it says Jacob, whether it says the daughter of Zion, whether it says the kingdom of Israel, the kingdom of Judah, the southern kingdom, northern kingdom, you know, the kingdom of Ephraim. It always refers back to the Israelites, because this Bible is a contract. This Bible that we have is a contract, a contractual book. And that contractual book was only given to the nation of Israel. And the nation of Israel consists of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and the confusion of faces that are scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. Psalms 147:19, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. And no matter how many times you read this, hard-headed, stiff-necked, uncircumcised in heart Christians, wacky-tacky Christians, and others don't get it. But you know what? If you can't get it, we moving on, like High Priest Yaikwab used to say. He had not dealt so with any nation. So the laws and statutes that he gave unto us, he didn't deal so with any other nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. So they have nothing to do with this contract. This Bible is a contract, and it's not given to everybody, just to the nation of Israel. So Ezekiel 36:8, but ye, O mountains of Israel, you shall shoot forth your branches and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are the hand to come. And the mountains represent the government, you know, the governing body that of the nation of Israel. So it said, you shall shoot forth your branches and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are at hand to come. And that's the deal, you know. So you're gonna have leaders in a government that's gonna be the 144,000 and the rest, you know, of the men that the Lord set up, but mainly the 144,000 and whoever else the Lord set up. But that's going to be the governing body, the 144,000. It says, for behold, I am for you, and I will turn unto you, and you shall be tilled and sown. And I will multiply men upon you, all the house of Israel, even all of it. And because why? All of Israel shall be saved, and the city shall be inhabited, and the waste shall be builded. And I will multiply upon you man and beast, and they shall increase and bring fruit, and I will settle you after your old estate. And that's what we're waiting for, to be settled after our old estate. But even beyond that, and will do better unto you than at your beginnings. Because when you go to the book of Haggai, when the Lord saw the former, the ones that saw the former state of the house and the latter, some of them rejoiced, some of them cried, you know. So the Lord's going to return us back to our old estate, and he's going to make us great again. But he said he will do even better for us than our beginnings, because in our beginnings, we weren't made perfect. But now, we return back to our former state, which we're coming back to now, the Lord is going to build us back up into that power and that prestige, you know, and that glory, because we represent him on the planet Earth. The people, out of all the people on the earth, the Israelites, we represent the Most High and Yahweh Shai on the earth. We represent his people. That's why you have Jake that does amazing stuff. Why? Because we're the closest people on the planet to the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. And you shall know that I am the Lord. All right, so I'm going to jump down to the 16th verse. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings. And that's what happened. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. It was filthy. Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, whether it was sacrificing our children to Molech, you know, or anything else, any other abomination. And for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. And that's why we got kicked out of the land and became strangers. Some Israelites went so much as far as to lose their identity, lose their customs, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel, you know. And this is what caused it. This right here. This is what caused it. You know? And you can read that in the book of Ephesians, the 2nd chapter. And I scattered them among the heathen. And that's what happened. The Lord scattered us among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries. According to their way and according to their doings, I judged them. That's what the Most High said. And when they entered unto the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name. Started going off, started worshiping those idols, you know, and giving praise to those idols as if those idols were the ones that did the things that, and gave them the things that the Lord gave them. You can read about that in the book of Hosea, the 2nd chapter. When they said to them, these are the people of the Lord and are gone forth out of his land. So we got kicked out of the land. But I had pity for my holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whither they went. Why? Because when we kept the laws, statutes, and commandments, the nations lauded us. You know, they were in awe of us. But then when we went off, they laughed at us. And pretty much they laughed at our power. You know, oh, these people are supposed to be the Israelites. They're supposed to be these great people of the Most High. What happened? You know? That's why the Lord right now, he said he's going to do this. What he's going to do right now, which we're going to read, he's going to do it not for our sakes and for our righteousness, because if that was the case, we would be finished. But for his holy name's sake. This is the reason why this is happening. And for the promise that he made to Abraham. You know, it's heavy, man. It's heavy. Verse 22. Salaki. Bear with me 1 second. All right, verse 22. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, therefore say unto the house of Israel, once again, Israel, thus saith the Lord power, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for my holy name's sake. See, which you have profaned among the heathen, whither you went. So now the Most High has to clean his name up because of the shit that we did. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which you have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh, saith the Lord Yahweh, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. And people are starting to see that now. And they're starting to get scared and nervous. You know, but they're going to laud, you know, us, but they're really going to laud the Most High. They're going to praise the Most High because he's going to show himself through us. You know, he's going to establish us once again on the earth, because since Yahweh Shai was on the scene, the Most High really hasn't really been fully praised. You know, people have just said, oh, you got even Edomites said these so-called white people so demonic. They say, oh, God is dead, because there hasn't been nothing done spectacularly, you know, to magnify his power. But it's being magnified right now in their eyes through us, and they don't see it. But they're going to see it. For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you. The Lord is going to sprinkle clean water upon us and cleanse us. What's this clean water? This truth. You know, because when you go back, there's a precept on that. It takes you back, I believe it's Numbers, the 19th chapter, where it speaks about if you come around the dead, you know, you're unclean. But then you have to, there's a certain way you have to cleanse yourself and sprinkle water upon yourself, you know, that would cleanse you. And if you didn't clean yourself that way, then you would be pretty much, you would be cast out, you know. So the Lord right now is sprinkling clean water upon us, which is this truth, this knowledge. Going to matter of fact, let me get that real quick. This is a good one here. Matter of fact, you know what, let me just go to the other one. Psalms, bear with me 1 second. Psalms 119:9. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. And when that's how you become cleansed. You become clean that way. And Ephesians 5:26 says that you might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. So that's how the Lord cleanses us. So that's why I said, then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you. Why? Because the Lord said that all Israel shall be saved in the Lord. You know, there shall come a redeemer. Matter of fact, let me get that real quick. Romans chapter 11 and verse 26. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. For this is my covenant unto them, when I shall take away their sins. Why? Because that was a covenant that the Most High made with us. The agreement, that contract, the Bible. That's why we have the Bible today. That was the contract the Lord made with us. So back in Ezekiel 36:25, I read that again. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean from all your filthiness, and from all your idols will I cleanse you. That's why the Lord said through the mouth of the Apostle Paul that you were Gentiles, because that was the beginning stages of it, but that really wasn't fully it, because the laws had to be put back into our inward parts because we fell back asleep. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and will give you an heart of flesh. So that's how the Lord's going to do it, because he's going to put the laws into our inward parts. It says, I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes. See, because right now we can't fully do it right. And the Apostle Paul understood that. That's why he broke it down the way he broke it down. And you shall keep my judgments and do them. And you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I will be your power. And it keeps saying that. When you go back to Hosea, the 1st chapter, in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power. And that's what these honkies are saying, what they're saying, these Edomites. Are you anybody but a nigger, a spick, a wetback, a skin, a tonto. Anybody could be the people of the Lord except for us. It says, I will also save you from all your uncleanness, and will call for the corn, and will increase it, and lay no famine upon you. And I will multiply the fruit of the tree, and the increase of the field, that you shall receive no reproach of famine among the heathen. Why? Because that was part of the blessing and the promise that the Lord gave to Abraham. Salakia. I lost my train of thought for a moment. You know what? I had another set of scriptures I was going to go through, but that could be a separate lesson. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to Ezekiel 37 and finish off here. Ezekiel 37, and I'm going to go straight to the point. I'm going to go to 21. And say unto them, this dealing with Israel, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall and there shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, going back to the idols, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their power. Once again, so the Lord is doing this, and David, my servant, shall be king over them, because King David is going to sit back on the throne. Yahushua told Peter that he was going to sit on the throne. And they all shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments, and observe my statutes, and do them. Why? Because the Lord is going to put them in our inward parts. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob, my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt. He didn't say all people, because of the promise that he made to Abraham of all nations rested upon Jacob. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt. And they shall dwell therein, even they and their children and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them, and I will place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore. My tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, I will be their power, and they shall be my people. And the heathen shall know that I, the Lord, do sanctify Israel, where my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore. Why? Because right now these nations look down upon us, because part of the curse was they were going to call us a byword, and a proverb. They were going to look down upon us. We were going to be the outcast. We were going to be the infamy. You know, we were going to be taken up in the lips of talkers. You know, but the Lord is going to flip that. He's going to spiritually flip that around. You know, so this pretty much has been a lesson, fleshy for stony. All right. So this is the promise is that the Lord is going to put His Spirit and His laws, statutes, and commandments in our inward parts and take this stony heart out of us and give us a heart of flesh. You know, so that we can keep it perfectly. All right. So with that, I hope you brothers have been edified. To the next time I say shalom.